Okay, so I watched episodes 2 and 3 of Symphogear G yesterday. So the first thing to leave an impression is we have a new opening, and then, of course, by the end of the episodes, we get a new ending. I don't know if I like them as much as season one's. I think the actual songs I preferred in season one, again, at least when it comes to the opening and the ending. When it comes to the girls, like actual songs they're singing while fighting, I feel like I'm liking them a bit more in season two. I think season one's ending had a really interesting visual aesthetic with like these broken dolls and marble statues. I'm not exactly sure who the girl walking was. I'm 90% sure it was Chris, but I could be wrong. And given that she has a very sad backstory and has a lot of trouble making connections, I kind of like the idea that she's walking in this dark atmosphere and then there's all these people around her, but they're all broken because that's kind of how she sees her own relationships and shit. It's actually really interesting. Here it's just the three girls walking, and it's sweet. I like it, but it's nowhere near as interesting. Although I do feel like I like the visuals in the new opening maybe a little more than the first opening, but I'm not quite as sold on the song. It's not bad, I just don't like it quite as much as the first one. But getting into the episode proper. So it starts like I think it was episode 3 starts exactly how episode 2 ended. Episode 2 starts with Maria doing like, yeah, we're terrorist. The name of the terrorist organization is Fiend, so the main villain from the first season. In one of the episodes, I don't remember if it was at the end of episode 2 or 3, they had said like Maria is the new Fiend, which, if so, man, she got resurrected real fucking quick. I don't know how correct that is. It doesn't seem right because I feel like she probably would have said something. Because I think it was the doctor who had said, because it was at the end of episode 2, I believe, that they're like, yeah, no bullshit. The obvious villain is the villain. But it wasn't that she's like, hey guys, long time no see, or like talking shit or anything. It was someone else had said it, so it feels more like they're using the name for clout rather than it's actually Fiend again. But she makes a thing like, hey, governments of the world, give us some territory within 24 hours. If not, we're going to stick the noise on you. She's like, we're specifically going to send the noise into your capitals and just fuck up your governments. Like, it's actually pretty effective. It's weird to say that I liked your threat. I'm like, yeah, if you can summon creatures that can touch people and disintegrate them, and you want the governments to do what they say, yeah, you would send it to DC, you would send it to London, you would send it to Berlin, Moscow, etc., etc. Like, that actually kind of makes sense. She does let the hostages in the concert go. The idea is seeming that she's like, yeah, like she's bad guy, but she's not bad guy. And because the cameras are still on, Tsubasa can't transform, so she can't defend herself. So, the fight starts with Maria using her Gungar, which she's fighting using her cape, which it's Gungar, so it's the same thing as Hibiki. I'm like, does Hibiki have a cape? Has she had one and I just haven't noticed or haven't really paid attention? But Maria has this cape and then she can like use it. She's like, this is my spear. So she's sending it and like hitting shit. There's a point where she's spinning in place like fucking Taz and is attacking Tsubasa, who was like using her microphone wand sword to like block it, but it was fucking up the wand. That was really cool. There's a point where Maria flings her into a bunch of noise. All right, I think she kicked her. Because there's a point where she like roundhouse kicks her and sends her flying. I don't know if that's what did it or if it was something else. I think it was the roundhouse kick. Sends her flying toward a group of noise, and even Maria's like, oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. I actually didn't want to get her killed. She seemed really cool. I kind of wanted to fight her, and like I feel like I'm sorry. But then all the TVs go off, so no one's watching, so Tsubasa's able to transform. She transforms, and the two keep fighting. And it's pretty cool. Like, Tsubasa does this one thing where she's like, gets her sword, she starts fucking spitting them like this, they catch on fire, and I'm like, oh, this is wonderful. This is really cool to watch. And she's kind of kicking Maria's ass. So a couple new girls. I wrote their names down. It was, Shirabo and Kirika. I think that was it. I might be Shirabo, so Shirabako. I might call her that on accident a couple times because I fucking love Shirabako. But we get the two new girls who seem a lot younger. Like, Maria, I think, is supposed to be like an adult, like in her 20s. Hibiki and crew are around 16 to 18, because I think Tsubasa is like a year or two older than them. These two look like they're in elementary school. We get a couple new girls. They're pretty adorable. Like, just the way they're kind of talking to each other, and then the one just going, like, stare, like, I don't like what you said to get us out of this situation, and I'm mad at you. It was pretty adorable. It was pretty cute. Then, so when they transform, so one of them gets a scythe, and as you may or may not know, I love scythes. And at one point she swings this, it has like 3 blades, and she swings the scythe, and then the blades go flying at Tsubasa. I'm like, okay, so you're fucking cool. The other one starts shooting these like mini, like tiny black and red discs, and all I could think of was like, these are the fucking Frieza blades. She's just sending like mini Frieza blades. This is fucking cool. There's a part later in the fight where her Symphogear, like, kind of goes up like this with a bunch of blades and starts throwing them. But the image made it look like all the Frieza blades were part of her hair. And they weren't, but I giggled so fucking hard seeing that. I was like, that's funny. That's some peak Symphogear bullshit. And I'm all for it. And it seems like everyone's kind of got a rival. It seems like Tsubasa and Maria are the rivals because they're the leaders of the team. Even though there's a part of me that's like, but she has the Gungar, so shouldn't she be fighting Hibiki because they have the same thing? But then again, Tsubasa also has a history with the Gungar and wants to make sure it's in the right hand so I can still see it working. Hibiki and, I don't remember which girl is which. I think this was Kirika is the one with the Frieza blades. Because it seems like she's been through some tragic shit. I don't know if both the girls have. I'm not exactly sure what it is. But, you know, Hibiki's like, I want to help people. I'm going to protect people. That's why I fight. And she's like, you just say that shit because you haven't actually been through anything. I can't believe the words of someone who hasn't understood, like, real pain. So I don't know what the fuck she's been through. And so it actually kind of rattled Hibiki a bit, and then that leaves Chris and Shirobako because they're the only ones left. But we get a 3-way fight, we get a squad fight, and the squad fight's pretty fun. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and then a giant noise shows up, and it's every time you destroy it, it kind of multiplies and it multiplies. So the other girls leave. They're like, we've done what we need to. Bye. They peace out. And the way our main squad beats it is... So this is really cool and really silly at the same time, which I suppose makes it peak Symphogear. Also, wait. I don't remember if I said this I don't remember if this happened in the previous episode or if it happened in this episode. I think it was in this episode, because I remember there was a point where Tsubasa did her thing, not the sword dive kick, when she does the handstand and starts spinning and fucking shit up. I think that happened, and she was, like, cutting the shit out of, like, a bunch of noise. I think she was doing it to these. I might be misremembering that. Maybe that was late in season 1. Maybe that was, like, the last episode, because she didn't fight anything in the last episode, in episode 1, so I think it was episode 2 or episode 3. Maybe it was later in episode 3, and I was like, I love that shit. I love the handstand spinning blade kick. Anyways, point. So what they do is essentially they all use their swan song at the same time. And Hibiki is able to tune, I guess it's like with the way her power works, she's essentially able to kind of tune and harmonize their songs. So the strain on everybody is not as bad. It causes a lot of strain on her. It fucking hurts. But she is able to do it. It seems very clear that, like, yeah, she is the linchpin of the team. Tsubasa is the leader. Hibiki is the heart and soul. Chris is just I have really big guns and I blow shit up. So, still useful. Still very useful. I still love the scene at the season 1 finale when she's just shooting Torrental and you see it spinning in the air getting closer to Hibiki. That one got a really big, like, grit out of me. But so I look at that and I'm like, okay, it gives Hibiki, like, a really important role in the party. It gives them all the ability to use their swan songs, like, essentially when they need to. This is really cool. The thing that's really silly about it is they have to hold hands, like, they have to make the friendship circle. And they literally say, like, oh yeah, Hibiki's power, you have to hold hands to do it. I'm like, what? Hey, was this actually said in season 1? Like, I know there's a couple times where they, like, did the friendship circle, but I thought that was just, like, a vibe check. I didn't know that this was a mechanic. Like, what the fuck? Really? We're doing this? Okay, like, I'm not mad. I'm just a little... I don't even know if I'm confused, because I feel like Symphogear, even at this point, it's the kind of show where I'm like, okay, like, you can basically tell me anything and I'll buy it. we've already hit that threshold. And like, okay, hand holding is the superpower. Like, that is literally, in a sense, the magic of friendship. Got it. What was some of the other shit? Because I wrote down some of the cool shit I saw. Oh yeah, there's a point where Maria is holding her spear. So her cape is her spear, but then at one point she gets an actual spear and shoots a laser out of it because, of course, not as good as the Tower of Babel moon laser. It's gonna take something special to genuinely top how fucking silly that was. But this was actually kind of cool. Go 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 go. Okay, so I think that was pretty much episode 2. So some of the things from episode 3 is there's a moon monster that the main antagonists are trying to wake up. I don't even really know what it looks like. It kind of looked like this weird cross between a xenomorph and a dog. But I can only assume since it just woke up, it's going to get a lot bigger. It's probably going to become like a lot more demonic looking. And I was like, okay, that's pretty gross, I guess, but we have moon monsters now? Again, I'm not questioning anything in this show, but also, but that's a thing that happens. There's a scene where they send their manager, which is it Ogawa? I wrote it down. Oh, it is Ogawa. There's a scene where he's going to, like, get some information, and he's surrounded by a bunch of dudes with guns, and then just while he's talking to Genjuro and just letting everyone know what's going on, you just hear in the background the sounds of everyone else getting their asses beat. And, like, you don't see what he did, but he, like, thoroughly kicked everyone's ass. That was kind of cool. Weirdly enough, the fact that it was off screen kind of made it feel a little more badass to me. It's like, I don't know what he could do, but I like it. We get, like, a scene at the school of some of the, Chris is now going to their school, which makes sense. She's part of the squad now, and she's trying to avoid making friends with new people. She's just not used to it. It's like she's the new kid, she's popular, but she's kind of not ready for it yet. But there's a nice little bonding scene with her and Tsubasa. Dr. Vare sets a trap for them, and they follow the signal of the trap. They fight a bunch of noise in an abandoned hospital. And their gear isn't working right. Like, the longer they're in there, the more their power is getting sapped. Now, while they're in there, there's like this orange gas that was everywhere. I don't know if it was supposed to be there's something in the gas that is making them weaker, because they also fought the moon monster for the first time, and I don't know if it's like, no, this thing makes them weaker, like being around them. Because the understanding I had was like in episode 2, they were trying to make a big fight and like get a lot of power, and I don't even think I said this, but like when you actually see the swan songs like all go off and Ibiki does this super punch, it makes this big prismatic tornado, and it was fucking pretty to look at. It looked really good. But it seemed like, okay, like we need a lot of energy to wake the thing up, so it seems like it feeds on their powers, I guess. And it's like, you know, every time they're using an ability now, the strain on their body is notably more intense. So it seems like, yeah, when you're fighting this thing or when you're in its presence, you're on a time limit, which I feel like is actually a really interesting mechanic. It kind of made that scene feel like survival horror-y, like we only have a certain amount of time, only a certain amount of resources. We either need to get this done or we need to get the fuck out. They aren't able to kill it. The thing, Dr. Vare puts it on it's like a hot air balloon or some shit, but it's able to escape. Chris and Hibiki get out. Tsubasa is still chasing it. There's a part where she jumps off a bridge. Their fucking ship it emerges from the water. She jumps on it, uses it as a springboard, busts out her sword, and then fucks some shit up, and like almost kills the moon thing, but then Maria shows up, and that's how the episode ends. Like, okay, we might be having another squad fight. But yeah, using the ship as a springboard was really cool. So these next couple episodes, they were pretty fun. There was definitely some good, goofy, over-the-top shit, which is what I'm here for. It's what I'm already expecting from the show, and it hasn't disappointed. Again, I will say, at this time, I don't like the opening and ending quite as much as I did in Season 1. I feel like that's kind of the only thing that hasn't improved. I feel like the show looks better. Even some of the goofy shit just feels a bit... Again, like, we haven't topped what happened at the end of season 1. I feel like that'll probably, by the end of all of Symphogear, still be like one of my top 10 or top 5. Like, this is some of the best goofy shit I have seen. If it's not, I can't wait to see like what other things are going to top that. I don't. Them riding a rocket and blowing up a mountain, I'm like, does that even top it? It might. If not, it's really close. I'm so excited for that shit. So yeah, I'll probably watch a couple more episodes later today, and I'm really looking forward to it.